Hey folks, what a view behind me. I'm at Black Bull Markets headquarters here in Auckland, New Zealand. Speaking of views, you can get TradingView paid plans for free at Black Bull Markets, saving you up to $600 a year. Get either the Essential Plus or Premium plans absolutely free. All you need to do is trade from one lot a month at Black Bull Markets. And you can also get a 100% deposit bonus for your first deposit up to $1,000. All you need to do is click the Trading Nut link in the description below. Hey, start trading Forex indices and commodities with up to 800k of Blue Guardian's capital risk-free. Just pay a small one-time fee to take the challenge, hit a profit target and get funded. Then keep up to 90% of your profits and enjoy fast weekly payouts. Now for futures traders, Blue Guardian Futures offers up to 450k in funding with 100% profit on your first 15k. With low targets, no activation fees and unlimited resets, it's one of the best deals in the industry. Visit blueguardian.com or blueguardianfutures.com to start trading today and grab their limited time discount code.
Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? It's Blake, aka Brinks Trades, back again with another week of breakdowns. Hope everybody is doing good. I'm looking here because my screen is up here, my camera's down here, so that's probably why you guys see me looking up. That's why I am. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday. Hope everybody is having a good weekend. Hope everybody had a great trading week. I had an okay week. I took one trade for profits. On NASDAQ, I think on Thursday or something like that. But that's the only thing I did. So not a crazy big week for me. Again, NFP weeks are the weeks, or sorry, FOMC weeks are the weeks that I usually don't trade as much. But yeah, so if you guys don't know me, hopefully you guys know me by now. But if you don't know me, Blake, aka Brinks Trades, the resident indices analyst for the Trading Up podcast. I come on here every week and I basically break down the charts for the futures, indices, and currencies markets, right? So I touch on a couple currency pairs, but we really talk about the indices here. NASDAQ, obviously, which is NQ, ES, and YM, right? So the big ones, and do breakdowns, kind of answer questions, and kind of lend my 10 years of experience in the market. So started trading 10 years next month. I think it's actually March 6th. It'll be 10 years that I've been involved in these markets. And so it's been a crazy eye-opening 10 years, and I'm hoping the next 10 are really, really fruitful. But yeah, so started in Forex, came to the future side of things a couple of years ago. Love it. I love all of the regulations that futures has. Not to say I never would trade Forex anymore, but as of right now, this is kind of the market that I'm looking at and kind of looking to grow on scale. So really enjoy the fact that I can come on here and trade the indices when I want to and still kind of trade some of the major currencies as well. So that's kind of how I see the markets. And again, every week I come on here and do a breakdown of what I think is going to happen. So I love to see where people are calling in from. Looks like we got 16 people on the call. So if you guys are calling in from anywhere specific, you know the drill by now. Feel free to drop in where you guys are calling from, and let's go ahead and get this going. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now. Let me see. So, yeah. So what we're going to talk about is, I do a lot of teaching and a lot of active chart work on my charts. So I always, my charts are always marked up. I think if you have a mentor and he's got a clean chart every single time you see him, it's probably because he's not really trading for real, and we don't like that. So coming into the markets, I just erased my charts from last week. But if you guys watched last week's video, you kind of have an understanding of what we wanted to see. But coming into last week, we had a few things that we wanted to see happen in the markets, right? And I said that there was a couple things that I wanted to see play out on the higher time frames, and we had traded into this overall fair value gap here on dollar index. And again, I start with dollar index because this is the one that gives you the barometer on what the market's going to be. And if you understand where dollar index is going, then you probably can understand where, oops, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Sorry, guys. But if you understand dollar index, you understand where that's going to go. then you guys can get a better understanding of where the markets are going to go, at least for currencies and indices, right? Because they all have relationships to the dollar. So I always use dollar as a barometer at the beginning of each day, each trading week, right? End of trading weeks, right? Just to see what's it's doing and if it's lining up with how it should play out in relation to other currencies. So whenever you're looking at a currency pair, again, you want to look at the ones that have relationships with each other, right? But you also want to look at other pairs too. Again, just to see, what's going on. You shouldn't just be looking at your own chart. The only chart you should be looking at is the one you're trading. You should be looking at every single one that has a relationship just to see if everything is flowing smoothly, right? So coming into the week, right? So we had this last week. If we get rid of this is the weekly time frame. We were looking at this, right? So there's a couple of things I said here. I said there was a huge fair value gap, obviously right there, that BISI right there, that buy side imbalance. And then we had this order block right here, right? So ideally, in a perfect world, I wanted to see the market continue to go up. I still think we're going to take this out up here, right? We have this low resistance liquidity that's sitting right here on dollar index. Right? And so ultimately, I think we're coming up here, right? I think we're going to take these highs out and keep going at least to here, right? Especially since those are relative equal highs right there. And so ideally what I wanted to see is the market really continue to go higher, right? So I wanted to see something like this where we trade lower, maybe into this gap a little bit more, take out last week's low and then go higher. And this is exactly, I believe, what we got, right? So we ended up coming in and taking out last week's low, right? Trading a little bit deeper into this fair value gap, mitigating things pretty much almost to that order block right there, and then continue to turn away. The things that I was looking at too is how we were going to close this week, and did we leave us a fair value gap, right, to that we could potentially trade into that could cause us to stutter next week and do something like that. And there's a very, 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 very small one right there. But with this momentum, I believe that we'll probably run right through this, right? And so what I'm looking at for dollar, at least from a weekly perspective, is we could come back down and retest things, right? We could do that and go higher. There's a few levels that I'm looking at though. Ideally, I want the market to stay above consequent encroachment of this wick right here, right? We were dancing around this wick, and again, wicks are very much like gaps. We closed above it. I would love for us to stay above it on the weekly, right? So we can wick below this, but ideally I would want to see next week close above that. Right. And so with that in mind, I want to see, again, the market stay above this, but let's jump down to the daily and see if there's any other levels that we could see the market potentially run back to. So a few things, right? So I'm actually, well, before we jump down here, I'm actually going to make this available on the daily so we can see this consequent encroachment. A lot of times we'll see levels line up with higher time frame ideas. And right here, what we have is this bullish order block right here, right? Right there, which pretty much lines up with that CE daily wick. So in a perfect world on dollar, I want to see something like this play out. We trade lower, we take things higher, and I'm looking at the current high as like the target. Now, if we zoom in on this, we can see a couple things that are very kind of like, they stick out, right? You guys know I do all these in real time. So before I come to the, before this meeting starts or this call starts, I guess, I actually don't look at the markets at all. So all of this is doing is fresh for you guys. So that volume imbalance right there is going to stick out to me. So I really want to see how we react to that on the downside. I think with this breaker and this volume imbalance, I would be very surprised if we traded below this next week. I think this is probably going to be where we're going to form the low of the week. At worst case scenario, I think we'll be here. We always could return back down to this fair value gap and dance down here again. But I think just because there's nothing going on here, we closed above consequent encroachment of this daily wick. So we're definitely going to probably take this. So I definitely want to see this keep going higher. There is a very small volume imbalance right there. So I'll be curious to see how we play that. But ultimately, I think we're going to probably take things to the high. So ideally on dollar index, I want to see us come down, make the low here. Again, this is NFP week coming up. So maybe we get a very short run Monday, like Monday run that trades back down into this range, takes things higher. Goes from there. But ultimately, I'm still bullish on dollar, right? And this is basically what we called out, coming into the week. It was a little tricky because it was NFP week. I'm sorry, FOMC week. So the markets were very choppy. So you might not have gotten great entries. I think I only ended up taking one trade on NASDAQ on my funded Top Step account. So yeah, so I didn't really do too much last week. So let me go back over to the comments and see if there's anybody on here. There's nobody on here. We got about 20 people on the call. So shout out to y'all. Again, I love comments. I love questions. So feel free to drop them in there. Let me pause this real quick. Stop screen real quick. I'm just going to pull up trading. I know I'm going usually a little bit later than I usually go, so there's probably a different group of people watching me. Usually these calls are in the morning, but I had a pretty big morning this today, so I couldn't be on. Just give me 1 second, guys. There we go. So just to kind of keep everybody honest, and I hate when people aren't transparent in trading. So I love to just kind of show results and just kind of let people know that, like, yeah, you're learning from people that actually know how to do this, and there are people that can really trade. So this is again the Top Step Express count that I'm working on right now. You guys can see there's a balance of $2,300. How the funded stuff works with Top Step. I'm actually new to Top Step. I got some challenges to pass with them in the past. I just never traded the accounts. So 2,300 is basically the balance. They start you at zero on the funded accounts. This is like a $50,000 account, but if I look at it on the website, it says 50,000 or 52,331. But I'll keep you guys updated kind of like week by week on how that goes. But basically, that's a couple of trades on Thursday or Wednesday on NASDAQ to kind of net me that 2,000. So that's good. But we'll see how it goes. Ideally, my goal here is that I don't want to take anything out of the account until we hit about 50,000. So about doubling it. So we'll see how that goes. But let me go back to the questions. So the Barcelona trader. All right, sir. How's it going? Mike McCready says, just got here. Do you discuss gold? You know what? A lot of people ask me about gold. I don't personally trade gold, but I'll break it down in a second when we get through the rest of the indices. So again, let's go ahead and jump over to Euro futures. This is 6E1. Again, I'm a futures trader for the most part. So I look at everything through the futures platform, just again with the regulations and stuff. And I wanted a broker that still would allow me to trade the indices or in the United States. And the best way to do that, especially with all the MetaTrader regulations, was just to trade a futures broker. So that's why I trade futures. But again, 6E1 is a currency, right? It is actually the Euro futures. So it's basically the same thing as Euro USD. So if you guys are Forex traders or international traders, this is basically Euro USD. Again, if I pull up Euro, same chart, pretty much. Little different price levels, but same chart, right? So what did we say we wanted to see last week, right? So coming into the week on a weekly time frame on Euro USD, there was a couple of things that I called out, right? So the first and foremost was that we ended the month, right? We were ending the month. This is the last week of the month. So when we're talking about a monthly time frame, again, a lot of times what we'll see is a counter trend week to kind of round out that month. It has a lot to do with how a candle forms. So if you're familiar with the concept of power three, you should kind of know this already. But again, usually the last week or so, at least the last few days in the week or last few days in the month or the last week of the month, we will tend to get a counter trend week a lot of times. And so what I wanted to see is basically that play out, right? We could have the opportunity for us to trade back into the range. So I was wary of that, but also we have this huge higher time frame kind of bearishness that we're looking at. And so over the past few months, we had really inverted this weekly fair value gap. So I thought there was an opportunity at one point, for us to retest this. We actually retraced. We're just shy of testing it, but jump down to the weekly time frame. Again, we can extend this a little bit. You can see here that at a weekly perspective, we ended up retracing back into this old BISI. This is now an inverted fair value gap, right? So again, if you guys are familiar with these smart money concepts, you should kind of understand that. But ideally, I wanted to see the market really come back into this. I thought we could go as high as this consequent encroachment on that BISI, but we did not because this order block was sitting right there, right? So we had a weekly order block sitting right there. And so ideally, what I wanted to see what the market do was trade back up into this and then potentially fall over. Now on the daily time frame, there was a little bit of a conflicting kind of like idea here. We broke structure, we took things to the upside. So I was really waiting on us to do a couple of things, right? The first thing was really see how we reacted to this this daily fair value gap right here, right? And if we were able to break through this, then we were probably going to take things lower. And so I was looking to see how we react to that. I was also watching the dollar to see if we were getting the opposite reaction. And we got a really big rejection from this. And I love to see this. I love to see these wicks because it signals to me that, the market is really trying to run its last bit of liquidity before it starts to go the other way, right? So what I want to see here is there's a couple of things. We are trading in the middle of this right here, this BISI fair value gap right here on the daily. And this is really going to be my key thing to see. I love the fact that we closed below consequent encroachment here because it signals to us that we could run lower. I also love the fact that we get wicks to the upside here. So what I want to see happen is this. I do not think we're going to come back up here. I think with the way that we broke structure on the daily, right, by taking out this order block right here and trading lower, signals to us that we're going to go lower. We also have these strong wicks to the upside here. So ideally, what I'm going to be looking at going into next week is two levels in particular. The first one is going to be consequent encroachment, right, of this daily wick right here as the high. I'm looking for the high of the week to be formed somewhere around there, right? At minimum, we could retest that. We could always go back up and retest this gap, but ideally somewhere between the high, the close of Friday and the high of Friday, right, is where I'll be looking. That consequent encroachment being that middle 50% of that wick. So somewhere around here. Right. And I'll also be looking obviously at the open. So from this perspective, this time frame, and we're going to jump down a little bit just to kind of get a better idea. Oops. Ideally, I would like to see something like this. Let's really start attacking these lows again. Now, the one caveat that I will call out is the fact that we still need to really invert this gap, right? We need to really invert this fair value gap for a full, like, confident bearish break, right? Like a full bearish break. So ideally, I think because we broke structure here, I think this is just kind of a formality. It will probably retest maybe the upper end of this gap here, consequent encroachment, one of these two levels, maybe even taking it as high as this, and then before we turn around and flip. But there's a lot of wicking, a lot of price action, of retesting of this zone here. we traded all the way back to this inverted fair value gap. So to me, I think we probably will continue to go down. That's just me. But let me jump to the 4 hour really quickly. I love to see these wicks, right? I love to see this price action here. So if it was me, again, the secondary level that I also will be looking at is consequent encroachment of this 4 hour wick, which I probably bet lines up with that the high end of that daily fair value gap. A lot of times we start looking at things and looking at liquidity and these PD arrays or liquidity markers, right? You start to see certain things will line up over in the same spots. Like you might get a consequent encroachment lining up with a daily fair value gap high or something like that. That's all intentional, right? This is a big video game. It's the markets, right? So I think it's one of those situations where you start to get a lot of chart time. You start to see these things play out over and over and over again. So what are we looking at here, right? We're looking at consequent encroachment. Relative equal lows right here and here, right? And so ideally, what I want to see is this market do something like this. Best case scenario. Oops. You can hear me getting excited just thinking about it. It's gonna be a fun week this week. Best case scenario, I want to see the market go to this fair value gap here. This is worst case scenario. I'm sorry, conservative scenario. I want to see the market drop down to here for the week, only because I think there's a few things here that I like. I think we will eventually get down here. You have that low resistance liquidity run right there. You also have this opened fair value gap right there. There's a lot of targets on this downside that I think we'll probably hit. But I don't want to be overzealous and say we're going to just come straight down here all in 1 week. So these will probably be future targets, at least for the rest of this week and going into next week. But ideally, I want to see us take out these relative lows. I want us to tap into that fair value gap, and then this consequent or this low resistance liquidity runs. There's a lot of price signatures here that let us know that we could continue to go down. So I think we'll probably, again, I'll be looking for the high to be formed probably early in the week, especially since this range is not that big on the upside. I think this is 81. It's like 30 points, right? So I want the high to be formed somewhere around here and to give us the opportunity to go down for the week. And I might even swing trade this, right? We also have NFP this week, so the markets might also get choppy. So just kind of keeping that in mind. Let's go to the comment section really quickly. All right, so Skippo says, would you say a beginner should increase their entry time frame, like the 15-minute, or work on their risk management and get better setups? I think your job as a trader, if you are a beginner, is to come to the markets and say, what is the best 1, maybe 2 setups that I can take a week? Because the thing about new traders, right, is, and this is something that everybody does, but I think a lot of people just aren't cognizant of it until they get more experience, is that new traders overtrade. So y'all think that you're supposed to come to the charts every single day and take 10 trades, 5 trades, or whatever. You think you're supposed to be on this chart every day because social media has told you that you can trade every day. You can trade in the morning. You can get off work, put some trades on. You can trade London session. You can trade New York, right? And one thing you're going to learn is that there's very intricate time windows that the price moves in, and you are going to learn very quickly that these markets don't really care what you guys got going on. They're gonna move when they want to move, how they want to move in certain time windows. So if I was a new trader, I would say come to the terminal. And it depends on how new you are. Like for me, I would, if you have a strategy in place and you feel like your strategy is good, I would come to the charts and I would just watch, right? Like this is being able to just watch the charts changed the way that I see things, right? So my first experience trading, demoed. I studied for a month, demoed for 2 weeks, told myself I was ready to go live. Took a $300 account to $1,000 in a week. By the end of the week, I blew everything. And that's the story. And I'll tell that story till, I'm the day I'm done trading, because I want people to understand that, like, you guys are going up against the best financial minds in the world. Some of the smartest people in the world trade Forex. Some of the smartest people in the world are running hedge funds that trade futures, right? And this is just not a game. It's not a game, right? Like, this is war. Every time you step in the charts, this is war. And so you have to be confident in the fact that your strategy works, right? And then when you're pushing the button, you know what you're doing. And so if I was learning how to trade all over again, I would come to the charts once I have my strategy down, and I would just watch, right? I would watch the times that I need to be on the charts. I'd watch, if I'm a swing trader, I need to look at, like, how the market's reacting overall, right? But I just learn and watch and project with no money on the line. Because if you can't do what I'm doing right now, right, and say, like, I think the market's going to do this, then this, this, then this, this, then this, right? And, like, if you guys have been following me for the year, I called all of this, like, this entire run, like, from September. I've been calling all of this in price since September, and really on this channel for the last year and a half, right? Like, if you guys go back and watch videos, I think it's something like 80% of the videos that I've done, the analysis is right. And you guys can quote me. You don't have to, like, you guys can quote me on that, but you also don't have to take my word for it. You can go back and watch every single video that I've done for the past 2 years is still up here, right? So, like, you guys can go back and watch all those. But I do that to show you guys that, like, you need to be able to project where this is going, because you need to trade to your plan, right? And all I'm doing on these, when it's time to actually get into executions, is I'm following the same plan that I'm laying out here. Like, I don't look at these charts until I come on these calls every week, right? So I'm literally giving you guys my trading plan for the week, right? This is when I do this for myself, right? Like, I don't do anything extra on the weekends except this call. So you need to be able to come to the charts and understand what you're looking at, have confidence in that with no money in the line. Because if you can't do this now, you're not going to be able to do it when money's in the line. Like, you're going to get worse. Trust me, you're going to start thinking about the $1,000 that you should have spent on your rent, or should have bought your girlfriend something, or should have paid a bill. And you're going to be, tripping about that versus actually being able to manage the trade because you are confident. So that would be the first thing I would do. The second thing that I would do is, your strategy itself should, the time frames are irrelevant, to be honest. Like, a 1 minute time frame is the same price action as a 4 hour or 15 minute. Like all the same things that I see in price are they play out on every time frame, right? It's just how quickly is it happening, right? And so I don't think there's a set time frame. I think there's just whatever your time frame are for analysis and your time frame from entry, you need to just perfect that and just consistently look at the charts over and over and over again. Next question. Can a trader become profitable swing trading? Yeah, I mean, dude, think about it like this. There's, like, I called this entire run, and I'm not saying this to brag, right? It's just what I did, you know what I mean? So, like, I'm not saying this to be like, oh, I'm this amazing guy or amazing trader or whatever. But, like, I called this entire run. I very well could have bought into something up here and still been in profit down here. I could have bought, if I was a swing trader, and you have to know your personality, right? Like, I check my phone way too much as it is, right? Like, I look at my phone probably like 100 times a day. Like, I think something like my phone says, like, I open it up like 100 times a day when there's no trades in the line. And so, like, if I had trades in line, I would be logged into TradingView probably and checking my phone at least 200 times a day if I was swing trading. So it's not good for me because I just check my phone way too much. I get obsessive about it. But if you are somebody that can set something and be cool with just coming back to it every day for a couple minutes to see how we're playing out, see how we're reacting, you guys can swing trade easy using the same concepts that I am doing the analysis on, right? Because all I'm doing is projecting where I think price is going to go for the week. This is a swing. So it's like swing trading is profitable because if you're understanding where price is going to go, then you You can swing trade, you can come in intraday, right? It doesn't really matter what you trade or how you trade it if you understand how price moves. And I think the big question is, and goes for Skippo, this goes for anybody, can you predict where price is going to go? Can you project where price is going to go? Or do you have some type of like ideas of what you'd like to see? Because you're never going to be 100%, right? Like I think I'm like 80% on predictions and like 60%, 60 something percent on executions, right? So like 15% over half, basically, right? So it's an edge, but it's not like it's a 95% win rate, right? Um, but with that, I've been able to be funded over 1.7 million in funded futures. Set at one time 700,000 forex prop firms. Um, right. So there's been a lot of you know things that you can do with just being able to trade. Uh, you know, or being able to just have that percent of a win rate. I was able to take in my private group, or not private group, my public Telegram. I showed that I was able to take a $10,000 account to $40,000. I took another $10,000 account in the last 2 months to $35,000. So it's like 70 grand in trades over the past over what I would call small accounts, not even like the funded stuff. So there's opportunities, man, to do. You can trade however, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't need to be a particular way. So anyway, let's get back to the charts. That was my rant. That was like my ICT rant for the day. So let me go ahead and get back to this. So again, this is Euro. So that's what I want to see in Euro. Again, GBP futures. Again, same thing as GBP USD. We're looking at pretty much the same thing. I said what I called is there's a high probability that since we inverted this fair value gap right here, we could go up to that BISI. Euro looks better to me than GBP because we still have to invert this, and we're also sitting above a SIBI we just traded to. I still love the fact that we're wicking off of this, right? We got all these wicks to the upside, and we're coming down to take out liquidity and things like that. But I really need, for this to be a valid setup for me, I really need the market to fully invert this fair value gap. So I'm okay with sitting out and watching this all play out until we really rip through this order block here. Because this is a break of structure. Euro had a break of structure. This did not. So I need this to invert, right? I need this fair value gap to invert and close below this and really start disrespecting this order block. So Euro looks better to me than pound futures just because of that. Because there's still very much a world where, at least on GBP, where we could just run this high, right? We're trading back into an old fair value gap. We inverted this one. This looks still technically could be a buy setup, right? So I want to see this invert, and I want to see this order block fail before I really start. And I'm okay, again, with sitting out through maybe all of this, right? Just so I can take this trade, that continuation move right there, right? The pullback on this. I'm okay with waiting for that instead of trying to take this whole thing like that, right? And that's only because I need to see more confirmations. So once you understand again what you want to see from a higher time frame, the game gets a lot easier. So again, GBP, I'm not going to break this one a little bit further, but I still am bearish on this. But just where we're sitting right now, if this went bullish, you wouldn't be surprised either. So again, when I look at the market and I see indecision in the market in terms of like I can call a buy setup or a sell setup, that lets me know that this one is one that I want to stay away from. So I'm literally going to put this right here and say, stay away until inverted. And this, I'm going to make this in big letters. And I'm also going to spell inverted right. Put this in huge letters. Put that right there. So you guys, so I know when I come to the charts that this is what I want to see, So, and if it doesn't happen and it just rejects and keeps going higher, then we'll flip our bias and we'll probably get like a 4 hour break of structure or something like that above these highs. And that'll let us know that we need to take things the other way. But as of right now, I want to see bearishness and I want to see this happen and play out and keep going. So we'll see how we close. Again, if we start fully respecting this gap and closing outside of it to the upside, then it could mean that we're going to go the other way. Let's go ahead and look at the fun stuff. I know this is what everybody hops on is NASDAQ. And if you're trading NASDAQ or you're trading NQ, again, same thing. This was a fun one this week. This was a fun one, meaning I almost shit myself when this thing dropped out of nowhere. I think it pretty much from Sunday's open, right? It from Sunday's open. I mean, this is all Sunday price action, like overnight on Sunday, like Asian session. This thing just fell out the sky and it dropped over 1,000 points by the time Monday morning hit. So by the time Monday London session hit, this thing pretty much wiped. And what did it do? Came back down here one more time to clear out liquidity. This is like why I don't like holding my trades overnight, and I'd rather just get something in a day. Because imagine if you were swinging this, trying to go long, and you got stopped out here, or you got stopped out below here, or something like that. Like so, you would have took a massive loss. And so I hate holding my trades over the weekend for that very reason. Even overnight, I would rather just come in the next day, find something, and then get in and get out. But what do we have here? We ended up forming a new week opening gap right there, right? And so a lot of the times, these things will be targets, right, for liquidity. And so it's weird. Inside, center. Huh. So weird. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Yeah. So ideally, what we wanted to see here coming into last week, and obviously the prediction, the bias was off somewhat. So coming in, what we wanted to see was the market potentially retest something in this gap or invert this. And this is really what I was looking at, was inversion of this gap, and for us to go higher. But that kind of got thrown out the window when we opened up, and this fair value gap right there opened up. So once this happened and we got past maybe Tuesday, inverted that gap and kept going higher, it kind of became apparent to me that this new week opening gap could have been a draw on liquidity for the week. So I ended up looking for an opportunity to go long, I think on Wednesday or Thursday, to take things to that high. And that's exactly what happened. Now we closed the week on NASDAQ rejecting out of that level from 21,760. So we ended up also breaking structure, just shy of breaking structure here. So what do I want to see this week, right? So let's go back up to the weekly. So that was a lot. That thing was crazy. But at the end of the day, we're still very bullish, right? So like we're respecting a couple of things. We are respecting this fair value gap. We wicked, pretty much below here. And I think this was just one last kind of long kiss, draw on liquidity type of deal. So we're still respecting that weekly. We closed well above consequent encroachment. And I think what we're going to see here is the market find a reason to want to go back up here. And this gap, will leave it open again because it's just buy side liquidity in that. So let me go ahead and look. Yeah. So going to the 4 hour, same thing. So ideally, I want to see the market come back to this gap and really invert it this time and find a reason to get back up here. And this is just based primarily on the weekly time frame. So I'll be looking for the market to kind of try and retest. On the downside, we could retest maybe the low of this fair value gap. I would say if we take out this low here at 21,385 and close below it, that also inverts this weekly fair value gap here. But ideally, I would love for us to stay above consequent encroachment of this weekly fair value gap. So that's the level that I want to see us respect at 21,508. So I'm just going to put a note here that says fail safe. So if we wick off this level or turn around quicker than expected, then that could be the reason. So I'll just put that there and say just basically I want the market to stay above this. And a lot of times what happens is the market makers will use news, events, and releases to kind of do this. And I think the reason that they said this market dropped was because a lot of the stocks did earnings, and there was like a Chinese competitor to a lot of the tech companies' version of like ChatGPT and AI stuff that really did really well. And that's what caused the market to just drop like that. Because it made, the American companies that make up the NASDAQ pretty much look less valuable. But we know in reality, the market's just running to and from liquidity. So what do we do here? We just ran down here to grab these lows and all the lows underneath them, right? So there's a lot of money that got stopped out, a lot of money that got or taken out of the market. So Beverly says, where can I learn futures on YouTube? YouTube. I want to sound like Medea. If you go to, some good resources, and I'll drop more of them in a minute, is, if you want to go to learn futures, again, follow me on Brinks Trades. I'm on social media. It's a good one. It's a good place first and foremost. I break down all these charts on regular. And if you want to know more of this, you can just YouTube videos or just kind of Google things. I would say I have a really good platform called the Profit Playbook, and that is a place where you can learn how to trade for me basically for free. So I'll drop a link to that in a second, but it's a Discord channel. And so if you guys want to learn more, I will drop a link to the free chat there after this call. So again, this is NASDAQ. Ideally, I want the market to stay above these highs. I will be watching because we did technically break structure on this 4-hour, which I don't like to see. But ideally, based on the weekly time frame, I want us to see us go higher. So ideally, again, staying above that consequent encroachment, us breaking structure potentially and finding a reason to go up. Again, I'm also not going to bet against this. So I don't really want to take any trades until we start kind of switching this back to an uptrend on the 4-hour. Because right now we just ran up here, broke structure, right? So I need to see us start inverting something or find a reason to go back up. Let's go to S&P, but I believe it's going to be the same thing since they are correlated. Need to get some sleep, man. So again, same thing, right? We had huge sell-off to start the week on ES, right? That huge wick. But if we look down, let's go down to the daily time frame. Again, the market created this huge opening gap, new week opening gap, and then traded back down, wicked all the way down to this order block here, but then wicked all the way back up and stayed inside of this fair value gap. So we pretty much had Monday, the entire week's range was inside this fair value gap, and we ran up in this gap and failed to, stay above it. So we're in this weird place of kind of like equilibrium, right? Where we're in this gap. We also broke structure here. So again, it's very similar to ES. I do want long-term this to stay up. So, but again, we're not really getting that right now. So ideally, I want this to be close below consequent encroachment. So we could come back down here, run on one of these lows, and then keep going. I don't want to trade this long until we get some type of inversion, fair value gap, or some level that's going to respect consequent encroachment. We just barely traded below this, so it could be we could come back. But ideally, I'm going to make the note here that I want to see this inverted, this 1 hour fair value gap inverted before I really start going long and really commit to that idea. So, or as of right now, this looks very bearish. So, this will kind of be like the question mark. All right, how do we react if we get back up there? Oops. How do we react if we get up there? So do we invert this and keep going higher, or do we come back into this range and go lower? I would love to see this inverted, and I'm gonna even make the note saying like I want to see this inverted. But once we get here, it's really anybody's guess as far as what we will do once we get there. And if we start to reject from the zone, then I have no issue selling off as well. I just need confirmations. Again, anytime your higher time frames are in a disalignment with what's going on in the lower time frames, you need to sit this out. I do see a world where we can come down and run that trend line liquidity right there, though, at 6,225. So I definitely see a world where we could take that out and then maybe go higher again. But as of right now, this is bearish. Just like NASDAQ right now is bearish, but what I want to see is bullishness, if that makes sense. So even going back to NASDAQ, we very much close below lows, and this could go bearish, right? So I do want to make that disclaimer that there's a good chance that we could take this bearish. I just would like to see inversion based on the weekly time frame and a transition back to bullishness. But as of right now, this is not a setup that you would look to take buys, and you'd actually probably be looking at the opposite to go lower. So as of right now, based on 4-hour time frames, this would be a sell-off. You'd be really dumb to buy this. But ideally, at some point, I do want the week to turn out with us inverting this. I want to look at YM really quickly. Dow Jones, where's YM? YMCMB. I'm typing YMCMB in the thing. All right, so coming into the week, again, what we wanted to see was the market, trade back into this fair value gap here on the weekly. So let me hop there. Right, potentially wick down to this and go higher. This one actually, which is crazy to say, because Dow Jones never really treats me well. This is a very good setup based on last week. We wanted to see the market come back down here. I also said consequent encroachment of this wick or the low end of this order block, but I wanted it to stay definitely above that. We came into that zone and then closed. We also are sitting inside a secondary BISI above this order block here. So there's a really good probability that even though it's wicked, we still could probably take things a little bit higher. Going to the daily time frame. The daily time frame at 44,292, we could again see a retest of that. If we're going to be bullish, though, I would love for us to stay above the main threshold, or I guess technically consequent encroachment of this order block. Right? So if we're going to stay above right there. Oops. Yeah, and then 1 and then 0. So we wicked off a consequent encroachment of this order block right here. Some people might call it mean threshold, but we stayed above that, which is a great sign. I'm just going to put a note there that says mean threshold. Consequent encroachment, same idea. Technically, there's a difference where consequent encroachment is for order block or for gaps and wicks, and mean thresholds for order blocks and breakers and things, but whatever, it's literally the same idea. So want to see the market trade into that respect, that continue to go higher. We could see the market go as low as this old fair value gap again, but I really want to see this invert. I want to see this invert, and let's keep going higher and riding higher. So what I'll be looking for on the upside is a couple levels. This one right here is how do we react, because this will probably be the target. Let me drop this here. Make the target, and that level will be at 45,245. Also, I want to look at consequent encroachment of this. So this level here, again, I'm putting this level here to see if we can break through this, and if we have an issue breaking through this. So right there, again, if we have a hard time breaking through that level, then it could signal a reversal sooner than possible, or sooner than expected. But ideally, I don't trade US30 or YM. I just kind of let other people do it. So I know, just watched a trader have a $300,000 day, and I think 200 of that was like trading US30. So it's definitely money to be made there, but I just don't like it. So that's going to be the breakdown for you guys. I don't think I have anything else. Actually, I do want to look at Australian dollar and gold really quickly. Again, just because I think these could be very easy setups for next week. I think actually Australian dollar looks better than euro and pound. This huge wick right here. So basically, called this to the T. We ran up 1, 2, 3 times into this fair value gap, fell apart, inverted this fair value gap right here. This is technically a BISI right here. Inverted that fair value gap, retested it, and I think this is going to be a very easy run to the downside. So if I had to pick a chart to look at next week, it's probably going to be Australian dollar, because this looks very, very like easy money, for lack of a better term. I hate saying making anything in trading is easy, but I like to see us retest that, go to these lows. As far as levels that we can pull back to, I'm looking at consequent encroachment to see what the middle 50% is, and it is just shy of the actual 50% of that. So that's awesome. So ideally, I want us to close below that. So I'm going to put a line right here and say CE of wick and daily gap. Now, once we get this, again, I want us to see us retest this, but just be patient when it gets there. This was the retest of the fair value gap. This was the very scary one. We also traded back into that fair value gap. So once we close below all that, yeah, we could run back up, but I would imagine we'll probably wick. So what I'm looking for is the market to stay below those bodies, below the half point of that gap. And that could be a really fun one. The last one I'll look at currency futures wise is New Zealand dollar. Again, NZD USD. If you guys look at that, same thing. The only thing is they also, just like euro, it needs to invert that fair value gap right there. So I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, I'll stay on for any other ones. But if you guys are interested in learning futures, there is a couple resources I can give you guys. Again, follow me on any social media account. Bring Trades is going to be the main one. You guys can follow me there. I post a lot of content, and I'm going to be posting a lot more there, as well as the YouTube channel. But if you want to get into the Telegram, or sorry, the free chat that I have, which basically outlines a lot of these things, I'm giving everybody free access to this, to my Discord, and this is going to be. All right, so Skippo says, what are the pairs you trade? So everything I outline here is what I trade. So I don't trade YM. just because it acts a little bit crazy. So Dow Jones is YM. You might also hear it called US30. I don't trade those because it just moves a little bit crazier in comparison to the other two. But everything else here is stuff that I'll trade, right? So I'll trade currencies, right? I'll trade NASDAQ. I'll trade um, um, ES occasionally, right? So I would say if you're learning and Skip, you've been on here a couple times, learn how to trade uh, currencies first. It's slower, right? We talked about this a couple weeks ago. You have friends or whatever that you see on social media that trade NASDAQ. I would start with something slower, right? Something currency wise and learn, right? Like, I don't know how consistent you are as a trader, but if you're not consistent, usually the question of what should you trade is a question of someone who's not consistent, which is okay, no, right? But I would start with something slow. I would forget the money, right? And then I would just watch the charts and outline what you think is going to happen. Do that for 4 months. Come back, see if you're accurate week in and week out. If you are, demo trade. Do that for another 4 or 5 months. Just demo trade, right? And literally showing up to the charts every day, not showing up once a month for 4 months, but like every day for 4, 5, 6 months until you can say like, I get this, I get this, I get this. Once you get that, then that's up to you whether you want to go live. But I think a lot of people skip the part of just learning and watching the charts, and that is that's where they're messing up. They're just trying to make money fast, right? This is not a fast money game. Like, fuck everybody who's ever told you that they make money fast, because they probably lost it and didn't tell you, right? There's somebody that I just watched make $300,000 $300,000 in like 3 days trading. They don't tell people that the first money they made, they blew it, and it took them about 8 years to be successful, right? So like before they even got consistent. So a lot of this is just like setting expectations. Like, anybody, when you come to this game, expect to give a decade to this, right? Like, expect to give 10 years to this to master this. They said 10,000 hours, right? Expect to give a lot of time to master this. I will never lie to anybody and say that this is an easy thing to do and that you can make money fast, but I can say like you'll learn how to read price if you stick with it long enough. So that's kind of my advice. Like, I would not, like, the pairs are less important. Currencies are slower. Start there, right? Anything you see me do here, currencies are basic one: Euro USD, GBP USD. Start there, learn there. If you can't trade that, then you won't be able to trade NASDAQ or ES or any of those things. So look at those first, or just stay with those, right? Like, there's nothing wrong. There's no shame in trading anything that's slower. It gives the opportunity to stack up positions, but have bigger accounts, right? Bigger trades. You can do all those same things. I've made thousands of dollars on NASDAQ. I've made thousands of dollars on currencies, right? Like 8, 10. I kicked this year off with a $10,000 trade on Euro futures, right? I also had an $8,000 trade trading ES. So it doesn't really matter what you trade, but if you're learning, trade something slower. And then when you graduate, trade whatever you want. Okay, anyway, so what I was saying is, let's go ahead, and if you guys are interested, I have a link to the group, the Profit Playbook, which is, again, it's my private community on Discord. If you guys check it out, I'll drop a link right here. Right now, there's free access. You guys can hop in and see pretty much a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about on a daily basis and be part of that community. So where's it at? Profit Playbook free. Here's a link to this. And I'm actually doing a promotion where there's one person that joins from into the free community. I'll end up bringing them into like my personal mentorship. So if you guys aren't part of this, get part of it. Right, so join that right there. Again, it's free. It literally costs you nothing. Like, I would take advantage of the resource if I was all of y'all. So yeah, so that's all I got for you guys. I'll stay online for any other questions, but it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a really fun week. I think it's gonna be a really easy week, and a lot of times, what happens is these choppy weeks lead to very quick price action afterwards, right? Because the markets are mitigating orders, they're doing a lot of things, and then they just kind of dump, right? So just like this was a very choppy set of weeks right here, then we had a huge dump, choppy set of weeks here, and then dump, right? So again, I'll stay online for any other questions that you guys have. But again, check that link out. Again, Profit Playbook. It's going to be my Discord community. You literally have nothing to lose at all. So, yeah. Again, any questions? I got about 5 minutes and we'll bounce. For my mentorship students, we're going to be doing a call tomorrow for about an hour, just going over the last week's price action, any trades people have taken, talking a little bit about the basics, the fundamentals, and then obviously specific trade examples and things like that. So it's gonna be really fun. So hopefully everybody can take advantage of that. Someone says, "Hi, what's the best opportunity to mark out higher time frames?" Or market levels and higher time frames. Honestly, the things that I do is this. I mean, this is all higher time frame work. I don't actually show any trade executions on this call, right? That's not what my thing is. This is really just the playbook for y'all to see like what my analysis is on kind of like where my head's going to be at for next week. But again, higher time frame stuff. I mean, like I'm marking every significant level here, and then I'm just going to trading view. So if it's like a fair value gap or whatever it is, right, or an old high, whatever your kind of signatures are that you look at, and I just make sure that they only show up. This is old. This is like from October, or November, but I just make sure that they only show up on the weekly time frame or the monthly time frame. So like the weekly, daily, monthly, the threes that I have. So I go back in the settings and trading view and just make sure they only show up there. So that's that. So yeah. So again, I think that's what you're asking me. But I just look at I just basically look at the levels where I think liquidity is going to run to, and just make sure they only show up there, so I don't confuse myself looking at lower time frames. So we got about 2 minutes. Again, take advantage of that community. Oops. And again, hopefully you guys have a good trading week, and go from there. Put this on mute for 2 seconds. So someone said, do you only use the fair value gap on the higher time frame? What's the lowest time frame you use for analyzing? The lowest time frame I use for analyzing is I go down to the 1 minute on the NASDAQ, and then I go to like the 2 or 3 minute time frame on the currencies. and I'm down there. That's usually where my entries are at. I don't enter on any of these higher time frames. This is just for analysis, right? I just want to know where the market's going in the bigger pictures, so I can kind of coordinate them with the smaller time frames. So that's what I use. Someone says, Beverly says, can you trade one without a fair value gap? I don't know what you mean by that. Like, can I do a trade? You said, can I do an OD trade without the fair value gap? Can you do one? Can one trade without fair value? I guess. I mean, you can trade. However, I mean, no one's going to stop you from trading the way that you want to trade. But for me, how I trade, I utilize a lot of smart money concepts and a lot of things that I pulled together over various mentors in the past 10 years, last decade of trading. And so it's one of the tools that I employ. You don't need to have a fair value gap to trade, but if you want to learn how to use those, then I'll teach you how to use those in the Discord. But someone says do gold. I did say I would do gold earlier, so let me look at gold right now. And I'm curious, like out of everybody in this chat right now, who would consider themselves profitable? So that means at the end of the week, end of the month, end of the year, you guys are up a decent percentage on what you guys started the year with. Like show of hands, right? Not just winning trade, able to win a trade, hit a button, but like actually consider themselves like confident and profitable traders. I guess I'd be curious to know. While you guys are answering that, let me look at gold. So I did this markup on gold a while ago. I don't trade gold. I'm not like a crazy fan of it, to be honest with you. But I said that the market, I wanted to see the market trade into this gap here and could take things higher. We're pretty much at all-time highs. Traded above that high. It's busy right there. Ideally, I'm going to be looking at a couple things. Like if gold is a sit on your hand situation, because I need to see how we react to this in the bigger picture. Oops. Couple levels I'll be watching at these two fair value gaps in the 4-hour. But ideally, this is what I would like to see is us take things back to the high, right? Based on current market conditions, this is what I would want to see. Us trading back into that, taking things to the high. But the issue is we just grabbed a huge level of liquidity right here. Right? And a lot of times what the market will do is invert, especially if we hit like a permanent high, especially with this huge wick like this. There could be a very good chance that we could say, forget this and just, forget this fair value gap. Let me take things and just start breaking structure and going the other way. So I'm going to be looking at that gap. I'm going to be looking at that gap to see how we react to it once we trade into it. If we invert it, especially taking out this swing low, you could see, I'm going to call this my invalidation point, meaning that bullishness is no longer a confirmed bias if we take this out. In a perfect world, this is what I want to see happen. This is what I would trade if it fails, right? So like I need to see how we react in this gap, and how we take things higher. If we start seeing the next few days of us having a really hard time staying over this old high, then it's probably letting us know the market wants to keep going down. So as of right now, I would be looking to buy in that, but the breakdown of that, especially us taking out this low right here, would signal to me that we're going to continue to go lower. So just chart work, and just patience. Again, there's nothing to do here right now. Like buying this right now is pretty dumb, but I've seen people do dumber things. But you always want the market to come back to a level of discount before taking things higher. Getting out of a trade early, I guess. What would you advise for getting to trade? What is it? I'm sorry. Why can't I read today? What would you advise for getting too early out of a trade only to see it go your way? I guess when a person does not want to blow an account. So the first thing you got to understand is where's your targets, right? Like your targets are, um, are you hitting your targets? Is the market hitting exactly where you want it to go? That's the first thing. If it is consistently, then just hold the trade a little bit more. Second thing I would do is size down in my market, in my position, because if you're up in the trade, right, and you are not risking as much, or you're comfortable with the amount of risk, then you start to get less jittery. So I would imagine that you might be over leveraging, over risking, right, taking way too much money in the market, or trying to make way too much money in the market. So I would size down your risk position and be okay. I'd also take partials, right? So like it's okay to get out of parts of the trade early, right? A lot of times I'll close out positions. Like if you're trading forex, let's say I'm trading 10 lots, right? Or I got 10 contracts on the play. I'm trading futures. I might get out of those half of those contracts after the first level that I think I see price stuttering at or running to, and then I might get out of the third of those positions, um, when the market hits another level, right? So I'm scaling out as I'm scaling in, right? Also over leveraging again, like I said, and then really just demoing. Like if you have confidence in your strategy, then you'll see it go to those levels over and over and again. And you got to be okay with taking the loss. Like you can't run from a loss. Like it's gonna happen. Like you're gonna take losses. Your job as a trader is just to mitigate your losses, right? Like make your losses small as possible. You shouldn't have one loss and look at your account like what the fuck, right? So you should be looking at it from a perspective of like you're going to take losses no matter what. So you need to manage the loss, move your stops into profit, let the runners kind of go a little bit more, and things like that. So that's how I would do it. Is I would probably say that you don't have a lot of confidence in you're probably you probably need to go back to demo and get a lot more confidence in your strategy, or just not even with money in the line, just watch the charts play out, right? And be okay with losing it. Like risk a small amount of money that you're okay with losing if it goes the other way, and move your stops when they go into profit. So at least maybe you're breaking even. Uh, how many pips? So I'm going through all these questions, man. So you're just trying to get consistent now. So, uh, yeah, I would say, like I said, it's consistency. Like the problem is again is that people are trying to rush the game, right? They're trying to come in 6 months, a year, 5 months. They're trying to become profitable traders because they saw somebody online say they did it, or they saw somebody online make a lot of money, and that's cap, right? Like everybody on the internet, especially social media, they love to present their best possible self to everybody, because they think that that's going to be the one that's going to get them the course sold, or they're going to get people to follow them and get them the likes, right? Whatever. So if I was a new trader trying to get consistent now, I would stop demoing. I would stop trying to trade live. I would stop trying to pass these challenges, because if you don't know what your strategy is, if you don't have confidence in your strategy, then you're going to have an issue. So first year, what I would do is um, just chart watch. Just watch the charts, right? Come to your time frame at your session. If it's New York session or London session, just sit there and just make notes on what price does. Just watch it over and over and over again. Just come to the terminal. Oh, it did this. Oh, it broke structure here. Oh, it did this. It didn't respect this. It did respect that. And you're going to have a book full of notes on what the market does. If you don't have time to do that, then you probably don't have time to trade, or you're trying to make money too fast. Second thing is, once you have a strategy that you see working, just watching it, like, you should literally be able to point to the charts the way that I'm doing right now and say, like, I think it's going to go here, and then see if it does go there based on that, or I think it's going to do this based on this, right? And once you have an idea of that, then you need to you can demo that, right? Like, spend a year demoing this. These markets are not going anywhere. Forex has been around for like over 100 years. Nasdaq's been around for like coming up on 100 years. Like, none of these markets are going anywhere anytime soon. If you took 10 years to be profitable, they'd still be here in 10 years, right? So demo for as long as possible until you can consistently build accounts over and over and over again, over and over and over again. And what's going to happen is, you're probably going to go on a win streak. You're probably going to go on losing streaks. How do you handle those losing streaks? But you should be able to build an account. Maybe it's a $50,000 paper account, or $100,000 paper account, or $25,000 or 10, whatever. Trade with the number of accounts that you think you're going to probably use in real life, right? And so once you have that, then the next job for you, if you just decide to, is to go live, test that strategy, right? You're probably going to blow the first account you go live with, because your psychology is not on point. But once you go live, once you have a strategy, once you get smacked in the face and you blow your account for the first time because you overtrade, you're trying to get money back, or whatever your fear, or you didn't hop in any trades because you were too scared to push the button for real. Like, once you figure that issue out, then you can start to work on your psychology. That's the third year. That's the third or fourth year, right? And a lot of times people are trying to rush the process. They're trying to go skip straight to making money, but they don't have a strategy. They haven't back tested it a million times. They don't even know what issues they have psychology wise, right? And you guys are going up against professional traders, like people that make billions and millions of dollars a year doing this, right? Just people like you and me, they're sitting in front of these screens, but people that work in hedge funds, that have teams of people behind them that are managing billions of dollars, that have performance coaches, that have technical analysis coaches. They have teams around them that are doing this, that are treating this like a professional sport. And the average person is trying to go in here like Joe Schmo that plays on the weekends at the rec center, and he's trying to go up against LeBron, right? And it's never going to happen, because he's not training for that. He doesn't have the same type of level of skill, right? And awareness. So this is a game. This is one of the funnest games in the world. Like, this is where the best and the smartest minds come to make money, right? And if you want to do this, you have to treat this like a sport. Like, you have to train for this, right? You got to get your mind right. You got to get your technical analysis right. You got to, put parameters in place for when you fuck up in trades, because it's going to happen. You're going to blow an account. You're going to be pissed. If it's a demo account, cool. If it's a prop firm account, cool. But you're still going to be mad. If it's your live account, right? You blow money that you probably weren't supposed to blow, or you blew money that took you a long time to save up and whatever, and it left you faster than you ever realized. Like, all those things happen, right? And it's your job to take those and figure out what you did wrong and get better and over and over and over again. So it's a journey, man, to be honest. And anybody that tells you that they come in this game and in 6 months and a year they are doing this full time and they're making thousands of dollars, they are a liar. They're a liar. They're either a Rain Man level savant, or they're a liar, right? And most of these people on the internet are not savants. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. This is the first time here, and I love the fact that you interact with people and answer questions. Thank you. Where can a person follow you? Do you trade price action, supply and demand? So I trade smart money concepts, right? So I'm constantly looking at the charts, kind of like a treasure map of where the money is, right? And I'm really just trading, because these markets move based on money, right? They move based on where the orders are at and markets and moving into them. And so if you understand where the orders are at, you can understand where the markets are going to go. You can follow me at Brinks Trades. So BRINX Trades. send me a message, right? It's a little icon. I'll actually pull it up right here. Let's see. Brinks trades. Yep, right here. So you guys can follow me here. This is my actual Instagram. You also can follow me on YouTube, right? This is me, right? All that stuff like that, right? So follow me here, send me a message, right? You guys, I talk to everybody that follows me, like everybody reaches out, like don't be shy, reach out. If you have questions about anything, you can always, hit me up. You also can join the Profit Playbook, right? Because that's the easiest way to get access to me, right? So that is where you are going to have the best chance of talking trading with me. Because you'll see I'm pretty active in that community, in that chat. So I would say that's another place you can follow me, and that is a free Discord right here. Oh wait, that's my Instagram. Sorry. Right here is the Profit Playbook. That is the free community. Join it, and y'all again get access to me. So what was the question? Why would you trade NASDAQ? Wait. Why would you trade NASDAQ or the S&P on the Forex market when you can make way more money on the futures market where it's really traded? So one, I actually do trade. I trade NQ. So I do trade it on the futures market. Two, I live in the United States, so I can't trade it on the Forex market. I think most Forex brokers don't allow for, most brokers that I want to trade with, let me put it like that, don't allow for you to trade indices, right? Like a lot of the brokers that let you trade indices in the US, the Forex ones at least, they're pretty unregulated, and I just don't trust unregulated brokers at this point, especially in the Forex space. So I'm only trading with regulated stuff. I do trade on futures on NASDAQ. You must have joined late because all of my analysis has been on NQ. So yeah, so I that's where I joined it there. That's why I traded there. But for people that can't, right? There's a lot of people that don't live in the United States, right? And you can't trade CFDs if you live in a different country, right? Like each country kind of has their own version of it. And so you can't trade NASDAQ if you live in like India or something like that, right? Or China or wherever, right? You have to live in the United States. And so they have their own versions of it. So if you live in Jamaica, you can't trade NASDAQ, but you can't trade US100 or NAS100. So that is that's it. Yeah. So any other closing questions? Any other questions? I will say this, well, I'm doing something pretty cool. So I have two communities in the Discord. I have a paid community and I have a free community, right? And so the free community is basically, there's a lot of shared chats between the two. And so the free community gets access to a lot of things. I'm going to take one person from the free community, right, and bring them over to the paid community at the end of February. So that is where I trade live 3 or 4 days a week. And go live pretty much to see the executions, right? Like that we talk about, like, and how I'm actually trading these in the day to day. So that's something that that I have done over the past few weeks, really since the beginning of the year. And I'm really hoping to continue that and grow that. But what I'm going to do is take somebody from the free community that has free access and bring them over to the paid community at the end of February. So if you're in the free community, there's a highly good chance that I could select you to bring over to the paid community, and you can watch me trade live. You can get access to the actual course that I have and all those things like that my actual mentorship students take advantage of every day. So I would definitely take advantage of that link. So if you guys want to stay locked in with me and actually get the best notification for everything that I'm doing, you'll join the group. So shameless plug is over. But if it was me and I was looking for somebody that was a mentor that basically has been online and publicly called price, right? Like I do this every week on here, and I call price out every week. Basically, one, because I want to just show people that I can do what I say I can do, right? There's a lot of people out there in this industry, especially trading, that like they fake their trades, or they take one big trade and it looks like they made $10,000, and you sign up to take their course and you realize that they can't trade at all, or they don't know how to analyze stuff, or they just pulled a bunch of stuff off of YouTube and resold it to you, right? And there's a lot of people here trying to make a quick dollar. And when I was coming up, there was nobody here except scammers. Like everybody was a scammer. And so I just want to be the person that when people are looking for authenticity, they can point to him being me and say, like, he really does this, and he can gives me a little bit of inspiration that I can do this on my own too, right? And I'm not a perfect trader. I do a lot of dumb stuff too sometimes, like everybody does. Like you don't ever escape the dumb stuff. You can only turn it down. But yeah, I just want to be, kind of like that person that you can point to and be like, wow, this person was completely transparent. He offered me a lot of value. Whether you joined, paid to trade, like paid to learn, whatever, all that stuff, right? Like I don't care about that. But just coming here and being the inspiration to people and showing people that there's a way that you can actually do this for real, and what this really looks like versus like, riding around in Lamborghinis all day. And that's cool and that's true. And then there's a lot of people that make money that do that stuff. But a lot of times I find that when people lead with the Lambo, right, like they are probably selling a lie, right? Lambo liars, right? But anyway, so that's all I got for you guys. If you guys have any questions at all, it's about 410, 412. Please find me on social media, find me in the Discord. Yeah, I'm gonna be this next week. I'm gonna be trading a lot of the funded accounts that I got, and I'm gonna be taking a lot of challenges. I think like another few million in challenges that I want to pass this year is kind of the goal. And so I want to really get out of this year with at least 3 or 4 million in funding. And that's kind of the goal that I'm setting for myself. And I'm going to trade all of those live and document all that stuff in the Discord too. So if you want to stay locked in with that, do that, join the Discord again. Last shameless plug. So, all right, guys, appreciate it. Have a good weekend. And, again, follow me. Follow me in social in the Discord. So peace.
Hey folks, what a view behind me. I'm at Black Bull Markets headquarters here in Auckland, New Zealand. Speaking of views, you can get TradingView paid plans for free at Black Bull Markets, saving you up to $600 a year. Get either the Essential Plus or Premium plans absolutely free. All you need to do is trade from one lot a month at Black Bull Markets. And you can also get a 100% deposit bonus for your first deposit up to $1,000. All you need to do is click the Trading Nut link in the description below. Hey, start trading Forex indices and commodities with up to 800k of Blue Guardian's capital risk-free. Just pay a small one-time fee to take the challenge, hit a profit target and get funded. Then keep up to 90% of your profits and enjoy fast weekly payouts. Now for futures traders, Blue Guardian Futures offers up to 450k in funding with 100% profit on your first 15k. With low targets, no activation fees and unlimited resets, it's one of the best deals in the industry. Visit blueguardian.com or blueguardianfutures.com to start trading today and grab their limited time discount code.